Welcome aboard our virtual recreation tour of the legendary Hadleigh Castle as it appeared long ago in the 12th and 13th centuries. The area of Hadleigh itself, alongside its titular tower, had their beginnings in the year 1215 by order of Sir Hubert de Burgh. However, the original design of the castle began to flourish and would later be extensively refortified by the command of King Edward III during the 100 Years' War. Specifically, his additions to the castle's exterior included the barbican and two striking drum towers, one of the towers later used by Georgian revenue men to keep a watch for invading smugglers. Sir Hubert de Burgh was a trusted follower of the king and was the custodian of two important royal castles at Windsor and Dover. Only a year after the castle's creation, Hubert was given a golden opportunity to prove his great military skill at Dover, through fending off Hadleigh Castle's attackers during a fierce siege in 1216, in which he emerged victorious. Effectively ruler of England during the young King Henry III's childhood, Hubert had the large turreted tower built as a declaration, a statement of his power. However, his successful career eventually came to an end after quarrels with the king, thus forcing him to return to his lands, including Hadleigh, in 1239. The castle had remained in royal hands, but it was not until the time of King Edward II, nearly 100 years later, that the king began to use the castle as a royal residence. Fortunately, Edward III was the first king to realise the strategic importance of Hadleigh Castle. It was ideally situated as a base for defending the Thames estuary against French raids during the 100 Years' War. Later in the years, King Edward took claim of the French royal throne, which swiftly erupted a war with France. Because of these sudden events, the need for a more systematic defence of the Thames estuary led the king to refurbish and extend Hadleigh Castle, and to build Queenborough Castle on the opposite Kent shore. Hadleigh quickly grew on the ageing king, becoming a favourite retreat of his during his time of need. There are excavated foundations of the most important part of the castle, the Great Hall. It had a serving room at the end, and beyond it a private withdrawing room, or solar. However, Edward III's successors took little interest in the castle as a residence. After being leased to a succession of tenants, the castle was sold to Lord Rich in 1551, who sold it off as building materials. During the demolition, a tiled hearth was built into the floor of the hall in order to melt down the valuable window leads. And thus, to this day, the castle as we know it remains dormant and in mere ruins. This concludes our virtual tour of our Hadleigh Castle recreation. We thank you humbly for your time and hope that you enjoyed the experience.